Hi, Stonebwoy. How are you?
Nice to meet you, my dear.
Nice to meet
Blessings.
you.
Yeah, man. Respect. Yes,
Respect as well.
Yes,
Thank you so much for coming. I think it's important that we give a little bit of context as to how this interview has been happening.
Absolutely, man. Drop it.
Let's drop the receipts. So I saw you at Affirmation.
I didn't see you.
You didn't, obviously.
But I saw a lot of people and I saw you then.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy.
Nice.
So it was the first day. You were the last performer before the main headliner, who was Burna Boy. To be completely honest, I've heard Stonebwoy in, I think the first time was in 2015 with Go Higher.
Go Higher.
I think that was, can we say that was your major
that was like my major break outside of Ghana.
Outside of Ghana, that's important.
Yeah, that song actually put me on to a lot of people outside of Ghana. And you know, there's always that song that people know you for. Like,
exactly.
Okay, yes, that hit us. And I think it there's always a prelude.
Yeah, definitely.
Before the action. So the prelude must have been the BETs. So when I won the BETs in 2015, all attention was like, who won that? One Afro Dancehall artist. Because I coined the term Afro Dancehall ever. You know, people did that style, but I coined it and I put that name to it because I think that I was more authentic when it came to streamlining between the Jamaican style and then the African style. So that gave it like a certain feel. So to win BETs in 2015, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, basically.
2020 now.
Whoa, 5 years. 5 years ago gave me a lot of joy, and you know, I've been representing for that style for years. You know what I mean? As a young youth, that was like my vision. But I knew it was going to take a lot of time to get to the world, and it was not going to get to the world by just me. We're gonna be able to spark the minds and resurrect a lot of people who would join the wagon. I mean the 2020 G wagon, you know, to make sure that the vibe spread across. Lo and behold, the world began to enjoy a blend of dancehall from Africa with Afro beats blended with it. Whereas I have been on that vet from 2009.
Not 12? 9? Okay.
2009.
Okay. All right.
10 came Afro Dancehall as a hashtag. I was pushing it. And then 11, 12, we kept going. And 15 gave me a break sort of to the world. And it never stopped to 2020. And here's Stonebwoy from Ghana.
All right.
Afro Dancehall, reggae artist.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I wanted to just quickly go back to the Afro Nation performance. So from my perspective, after seeing a couple of artists and you're like the only one left before Burna, I was amazed at something. It was really the way you master, the stage. There's the presence. First of all, how you came out. I saw a guy with like glitters on his denim jacket. I was like, who's this? And then you just came in and you just commended the crowd somehow. Like you knew how to perform. And I was really, really amazed. And I think that's why I wrote on social media that I thought that you had one of the best performances.
Grateful, man.
And what I thought was very interesting that some comments that came after your performance, a lot of people would say, and I feel like these people are used to see you, which is not my case. Well, used to see you on stage, and we're like, why is Stonebwoy still using a live band at a festival? We wanted to hear the original versions of the songs. Why is he performing that with a band that it sounds different? What's your take on that? I'm
grateful that you asked me that. That is a thing that I would always love to answer, but I like the platform. But I've always almost ignored because some things are best answered by time.
Definitely.
And let us not, we celebrate mediocrity so much in these days, so much so that abnormality is a new normality.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And we have to rise above that. When you pick a record and you listen to it at home, there's a feeling it gives you. I, as a musician, when I hear that song being sung by another person who's not even a musician, I swear, the feeling it gives me makes me now understand the reaction people give me when they hear my song. I've never been able to get that satisfaction of listening to the song that I created on my own. That peculiar satisfaction has always have to be when somebody else sings the song. And the satisfaction gets crazier when it is somebody who can actually sing music. Then I'm like, whoa, is this what I created?
Yeah.
So it can always only get better when you get to hear it as live as it's supposed to be. Music is supposed to be alive. Music is not supposed to die. Music lives. Music is... So when you come on stage and you sing on top of your record, we can allow that to an extent. Because everybody needs, like, that's why I came with a band, I came with my backup. But you know what? I tell you on authority that it is only a certain mindset that there are some few people. I'm not going to generalize this. No, I wouldn't be that. I wouldn't be that unfair. The sort of comments that I'm answering now, it's 2 out of 10.
It's minority.
It's super minority, but because it's the negative minority, you get it feels louder.
Yeah.
So then if you don't take time, you get to pay attention to something that is almost not a thing that we should live by. And guess what? Now after the whole show, people now went back and be saying, you see, you guys spoke too early. You see, there's a cross-section of Twitter. I realized you're very active on Twitter. That's why I'm happy you're asking me this. There's a few cross-section of people who are in their own world.
Definitely, in their bubble.
Who will not step out of that world. Because guess what? It makes them feel it makes them feel good. So they're always there. They always want to say something about something. Whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. But guess what? Music is best performed live. And you and I know that.
And let me join you on this. I wanted to ask, do you have a special routine in terms of performing? Because one thing though about your sets is that obviously you performed a lot of songs, a lot of hits that you had. It went from dancehall to Afrobeat
to reggae.
It's not the same vocal range. You jump a lot, you dance a lot, like, and everything is live. So I want to know, do you rehearse? Because definitely this is not something that someone who only goes to the studio and then just does, playback performances can come up with that same energy. So what's your secret?
Thank you very much. It's consistency and longevity and the passion. Actually, some of us are grateful to the Most High God that we do not have to like the levels of gifts. You see, the figures are not equal. This is up, this is up, some of us have it up to this point. And we just have to acknowledge the fact that it is not by our own power.
But you don't have any, let me say,
I mean,
I don't
yes,
this, I
no, I was coming to that.
No.
I would love to. I mean, I eat simple. I'm one of the people who eat simple.
Do you exercise? Do you train on the side? Because like physical, I mean,
yeah,
what you do is physical.
Everything I do is like, whoa, you're like, but I think it's more driven, it's more passion driven and heart driven.
Okay.
Like the engine has to be, my engine is, I don't know what latest engine capacity is being made, but that's why I'm referring to the gift of it. Because I didn't create myself to put into me that, but I rehearse a lot. I take my craft very serious. I've been doing, I think I've done like almost 65 shows in a year. And in 2019, it never gets less. So if we have 50, how many weeks do we have in a year? 56, 50 something, and I do 65 shows plus. That means I literally do a show every week. You know what I mean? So that in its own way is a form of exercise, because you have to keep going. And I'm really keen about the performances. You see, when every top artist came on the stage and played with their band, you know, and I want to send this across to especially the Ghanaian masses, because just that few number of people who would love that an artist will come on stage, and we do that sometimes as well. I do that sometimes. On that stage, I played my record and I had like -1, and that's just the best way to run it. If you're not ready, you're not ready. And another artist came, and you realize that sometimes when you do that with your vocals on it and then stuff goes wrong, it gets even worse.
Exactly.
And I think it's not a thing we have to. People don't pay their monies anywhere else abroad. I've never seen anybody go and do their CDs. Like, I'm just saying.
Exactly. No, that's true.
Like,
when
even
you go to a festival,
in Ivory Coast, yeah, mad. I was my last European tour when I came out. There's one girl who was, I'm like, you can only get inspired by feeling the music and practicing to deliver the song. That's the only way you find how you can even move ranges.
Exactly.
And deliver that same song in a different feeling. I bet you, yeah, like we can't live off the satisfaction of the food we ate yesterday, you feel me? So you can continue to eat one dish every day, but after it's done. You have to, the next day you eat it again, you listen to the music again, but it brings different satisfaction. But once has its life and it's not dead, I think that's what we're supposed to be encouraging, you know, and I think that's just what it is. And you know what, interestingly, the elderly masses love live music.
Definitely, way more than the youth.
You know, and the youth love live music as well.
But I feel like they're less...
I have to be honest.
I feel like they expect it less from urban artists. That's what I've noticed. Like the level of expectations will be different.
Because I think that the urban artists, I'm sorry to say, majority are moving lazy.
Listen, I said the same thing. I feel like there's a bit of laziness.
Because that's it. There must be an amount of laziness that we're transferring into the crowd so much so that that's just what it is. So the expectation. So if everybody now should just be like, okay, what's up? I'm built to perform. Slap my thing for me, and I just take a microphone and I sing.
But that's what's happening.
It's gonna get loud. It's gonna get like it's rowdy, it's crowdy.
But the experience.
Honestly speaking, from the legends, from the predecessors that I have gotten inspired, I would be very unfair to not to express music in a manner, and that's why I love intimate crowd.
Small venues.
You break it down.
Yeah.
And that is where you can actually see what you can deliver. Because remember, people go home not only because you're a star, you have some diamonds and some things going on.
Memories. And experiencing.
I have always fallen in love with one of my mentors. I've loved his songs when he performs them more than when I go play them online. I'm like, there's something missing, you know. Then you realize that that's the growth. That is what has kept the music running. And when you perform it live, most often it oozes certain different dynamics of the same song and brings different spice. So I just beg with the masses that listen, we will get it right. Most often, what you guys get as the trouble is the technicalities, how things are put together to make it sound. For me, if you can mark it and you're pro at it, that's why I'm here. I swear. I might not have turned up.
Thank you.
Because none of my squad is there. Everybody's like, if I tell them, I just have to do it.
Thank you.
Because I believe in what I read and the comments you make.
Thank you.
It's really it's deep and it's in depth.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All I want to say is that that's one of the problems why the younger generation will feel like let's just jump onto. And I wouldn't lie, our generation is celebrating mediocre more. So that's
because it's the loudest, the shiniest.
Good. So the mediocre is going to be more.
Yeah. I have to say another observation I had is specifically, and this is a question for you because I think you have the keys to answer. What is it about dancehall in Ghana? Because when I look around in other countries that I've been observing in terms of music markets, dancehall and reggae and raga are usually what you would consider underground or at least ghetto or niche, okay? But it's never like mainstream. Today we're talking about, let's say, the three biggest male artists. It's Shatta, it's you, it's Sarkodie. Hip hop, okay, for Sarkodie, and the two others is mainly dancehall. So would you explain to me what's the relationship with Jamaica? Why is it so big here? Because I live in Ivory Coast. We have quite a big reggae scene. We have big artists. Alpha Blondy, obviously. Ismail Isaac. And then we have Tiken Jafakoli. You know, so we have legends there. But it's reggae. It's not dancehall. Because reggae it's a different, I would say, different age bracket. But here, dancehall is just as big as rap, as hip life, as Afrobeats. what's the history? Who brought the Jamaican sound to Ghana, and why is it working so big and working so well here?
Thank you very much. I think I would only answer from what I've read so far and be very real about it, because I'm not a 50-year-old, 60-year-old guy.
Historian.
I'm only a third. I love history, definitely, and I know a handful of my history because I seek to learn every time.
Definitely.
I grew up listening to High Life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Beautiful music. Okay. Now at a point, at that era, you found a lot of reggae music, Bob Marley. I only believe that, like, here now where I stand, with the scope that with where I stand and how I see everything, and even imagining how it would have been or used to be, I realized that it's the same foundation of music. It's just one root with different branches, and we're all as and when we like and as and when we want, because people travel a lot. So people took the music with them. Because remember, those times it would be a CD plate or something.
Definitely.
People love to travel, and that's how we exchange a lot of things. And if you check it out, reggae didn't come about called reggae. Reggae was in the 70s or the late 60s, 70s. But then highlight music has been from 20s or something, 1920, like from day. So when you check the dynamics, you realize that even Wikipedia will tell you as it is, that the elements that made reggae music are the same elements that high life music has, which comes from the west coast, which comes from the western part of Africa, you know. So when you pick all these trends, you now understand how, and if you pick the relationship that we had as we're celebrating the year of return and beyond return, you ask yourself, because when I was on stage, I tried to touch upon it, because the newer ones like us were just enjoying the theme, jumping on board. Light skin people coming in, mixed blend, black, blue, white, all from African foundation. We're enjoying ourselves, but we need to know that it has all been because once upon a time our history didn't start with slavery anyway. It was kings and queens, Mansa Musa, Ghana Empire, Mali Empire, run the world. The Moors run Europe for years before they gave it back, and they all came back and all these things. So, my dear, we have been enjoying our music in diverse, various ways and recreating them in so many ways. But in the new school, I'll say that reggae music is, we love reggae because of the morals. Because reggae music is, and we Africans have a culture. We couldn't even say some things if we had to say them somewhere, and couldn't say other things if we, now I'm coming back to answer the question. Why I think reggae music resonates to us is simple. The morals, the levels. When I was in class 4, primary 4, after testing my talent as a young kid, guess what? I knew that if I was going to go do some genre of music, I once upon a time sat and thought if I was going to do music or try to compose my music, I'll do reggae. Because my mom would listen, because my father would, because I didn't want to do something that they would be like, what? And the perception at the time was like anybody who did hip life was the era. Rap and high life was like considered as a riff-raff, was considered as, because,
as a gangster.
because the content of the music is just what defines it. And so we had one legend, Obrafo. He celebrated his 20 years after his first album release, and I supported and performed. He came in, and the things he was saying was all morally clean on the hip life. Majority of the things he said, even if I was going to rap about profane, you know, sex sells, they say, we all have to love brothers all here, you know, make love and all these ones. He addresses them in a very beautiful way, and therefore that's why he is still here being spoken about. So he was able to catch the ear of the elderly, and the younger ones looked up to him to toe the moral line. And so reggae never left. That's the format that I think. And then dancehall now, you know, we have to be a little, sometimes if you can't go here, you create your own niche. Dancehall is like I'm not a Jamaican, I was not born in Jamaica, but I'm an African. And Jamaicans are Africans, and we're all from Africa, literally. So I can speak from this point of view after having read a couple things. Reggae is like dancer was like birthed out of reggae.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? As in, it was not everybody who could sing, who could be the Bob Marleys. Everybody had to find their levels. And then definitely the names would change as compared to that. So I think that is just how it is. And we love it because it's us, it's in our DNAs. Look at all this Afro beats going on about. When you strip the rhythms down, you can find every other black originated genre of music fused in. You can pick one song. You can find out all of that, right? So it's just us celebrating us, enjoying each other's music, and doing them the ways we want to. Else, I don't think Jamaicans would enjoy my music. Neither would Ghanaians enjoy Jamaican music because it's in us.
I was about to ask, now we talked about how you feel you're being perceived in your own country. Now, Billboard gave you that recognition, fine. I remember a couple of years ago, Ghana had this big cultural moment with the Azonto movement that became international. You had even people from other countries.
And now as we speak, nobody remembers us for that.
That's crazy because I remember the Azonto sound. Everybody was biting off that.
It's still the foundation of a lot of things right now.
So my perception at the time was, it's too bad that Ghana didn't take advantage of that time.
And that is one of the things we always lack, you know, like I have to be, I'm a Ghanaian, so I have to take responsibility for what we do wrong and what we do right. You know what I mean? And I'm only thinking, this is something I think about a lot every time. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. You know what I mean? Some of us have done things that when they find out later, they would wish they had celebrated so that it would put us all on a certain level and we would have been able to make some moves with that.
Exactly.
But being ignorant about it still keeps us in the dark.
Because you had leverage at the time. I mean, Ghana was literally, musically speaking, was big. We saw a couple of artists who grew from that. But on a personal level. But it wasn't a wave. I mean, we waited for a wave, a Ghanaian wave to stay for more. And then Azonto just started fading.
It shifted to the Nigerians.
Exactly.
And then they took it on.
Exactly.
And that's you see, but that is where I want to come in as, okay, fine, this is an African thing. Let's all just play our roles and forward. Because I'm not losing hopes, but I'm starting to believe that, listen, you guys can create it, but Nigeria is supposed to spread it. Because...
You think that was a major problem? I mean, that Nigeria had way too much weight?
It's still a problem, so much so that a Nigerian artist, Dami Queen, tweeted the other day, and I'm just like, okay, that he feels like there's too much Nigerian music being played in Ghana.
That was Dami Crane.
That was Dami Crane. And the only way he feels that it should be